Today on Monkey Life. Anxious moments as Chimp Jester goes under the knife following a diagnosis of mouth cancer.
We're going to have to end going sort of right in here.
Because the whole of that lip is going to have to go.
An enormous felled tree helps the guenons scale new heights.
It's where they really like to be. They like to be high up, they like to see what's going on, they feel safe.
And the nursery orangutans have a ball with a colourful morning treat. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
I'm shocked. This animal is living in fear of its life at all times.
The park provides a home for more than 260 primates from 24 different species. It's been a little over a week since Chimp Jester had a biopsy taken from a sinister-looking lump that had developed on the inside of his bottom lip. The results from the pathologist have come back, and they're not good. The lesion is a squamous cell carcinoma, a serious form of mouth cancer, and will need to be operated on immediately. But the procedure will be far from straightforward.
It's completely necessary. If you have to remove a tumour, there's no point in doing anything except remove the tumour plus sort of a strip around the tumour to make certain you've got all of it in one go. So there's no alternative but to be radical. If you were just removing half of it or scraping away the surface, you may as well not bother. It's got to all come out in one go.
Wildlife vet John Lewis, an expert on chimpanzee anaesthesia, has called in local vet Dave Harding to carry out the operation alongside him. Since the biopsy was taken, the care team have been closely monitoring Jester's health.
He's eating well, he's maintained his appetite and his weight. It's more fluids that are a struggle, so we've also been working on him taking fluids from a large syringe because if he needs post-op medication, we need to be able to guarantee that we're getting the full dose into him.
Oh, you're amazing, Jestah.
I think we have to be optimistic. We've got a diagnosis, we know what we're dealing with, and we know what needs to happen. And we've got the best team here to do that, so we'll see what the future brings for him.
For the second time in 10 days, Jestah has been given an anaesthetic injection by hand. The team spend a lot of time training the larger primates to do this, to avoid the stress of darting. It doesn't take long for the drug to work, and Jestah is quickly transported across to the park's animal hospital.
You're going to hold the upper jaw.
John intubates the chimp, and once he's stable, Dave can get his first good look at the problem.
I think we might have to just go across here.
The medics need to come up with a plan to remove the large mass.
We're going to have to end going sort of right in here.
And at the same time, save as much of Jester's lip as possible.
I think it's a better option to actually just to come across here.
And try and repair from there, because the whole of that lip is going to have to go.
Yes, and then we just try and close the edges as much.
The lump is malignant and can easily spread to other parts of the body. John took X-rays 10 days ago, which didn't show anything sinister. But to be on the safe side, Dave checks all Jester's vital organs for secondary tumours.
It's looking pretty good in here. Certainly the liver looks fine.
The results are encouraging.
The additional benefit of the ultrasound is to check other organs, so we can check liver, kidneys, and the abdominal cavity, just to check that there's no obvious sign of any lumps that could indicate that this tumour has already spread. And I'm pleased to say that the abdominal cavity all looks completely normal.
It means Dave and John can proceed with their plan for the operation. But it's a complicated process, and it looks like it's going to be a long and stressful morning for the whole team. The last year has seen some big changes for the park's woolly monkeys. With new arrivals, house moves, and the launch of their first ever all-male bachelor group. And in the last few days, there's been another new addition to the woolies. Pacaja has had a baby.
We did have suspicions that she was pregnant. There's been a lot of mating between her and Enzo over the past several months. Yeah, nice present little surprise to come into. And yeah, both mum and baby are looking really great.
Pacaja is an extremely experienced mum. This is her 4th child, and the second with dominant male Enzo. Since the infant's birth, the group have been in the smaller caged enclosure, so the primate care team can keep a close eye on mum and baby. It means the little one can experience the outdoors in safety. Sharon is pleased with how the pair are progressing.
Everybody's looking really good and happy and comfortable, so time to give them access to the big enclosure. Coming in, guys!
The much larger pond enclosure is a little distance from the house and bedrooms, linked by an overhead tunnel. But Pacaja is a super confident mum, and once given access, wastes no time heading straight through the tunnel, with baby clinging on tightly underneath. There's a lot of excited trills and chatting from the whole group, as Pacaja immediately goes in search of the food put out by the care team. 18-month-old Enya and dad Enzo are never too far apart. It's the dominant male's job to make sure everyone is safe within his territory, and Enzo performs the role perfectly, as well as being a doting father. Enya doesn't seem too fazed by the arrival of her new brother or sister. She's an independent and confident little female. But there's one individual who has struggled to fit into the group, 11-year-old Isla. Neither Pacaja nor her eldest daughter Oriana were particularly welcoming when she joined last year. But things have slowly started to improve.
Kaya is quite a feisty girl, so obviously sort of introducing Isla into this group was always going to be a little bit more problematic than with some of the other more relaxed ladies. We go through really good weeks with Isla, and she actually has quite a good relationship with Oriana, but it is quite a close-knit little family group, so overall they're doing okay.
Monkey World is the only place left breeding captive woolly monkeys, so every baby born at the park is precious. Luckily for each one, the team who care for them have years of experience looking after captive bred infants and their mothers, and continue to increase their knowledge of this wonderful species. At the Marmoset domestic house, one of the families are about to be set a challenge. Ruby, Oscar, and their family of 4 youngsters are about to be given a lively treat. On the menu today are live locusts, one of the marmosets' favourite foods. But primate care team member Louise is not making it easy for the family. The insects are being put into pillowcases stuffed with wood wool, which are then being hung up all around their outdoor enclosure. The family aren't going to need just strength and agility, they're going to need patience and perseverance too. Ruby leads the family out, followed by the 4 young ones, with Dad Oscar bringing up the rear. Compared to the marmosets, the pillowcases are huge and a little daunting, but not for Mum. A larger lady, she loves her grub and uses her strength and coordination to reach down inside, striking lucky first time. Well, Mum made it look easy, so the youngsters are keen to have a go. This large family is one of many success stories the team have had with rescued pet trade marmosets. Ruby and Oscar both came from that background, and despite a huge size difference, the little and large partnership hit it off straight away. Their unexpected and somewhat surprising relationship resulted in 2 sets of twins, Merry and Pippin, and the youngest pair, Bilbo and Frodo. With space at a premium at the park, it wasn't planned or ideal, but the bonus of watching this family grow up has been a terrific boost for the primate care team. The Marmoset family are making the most of today's protein-packed pillowcase parcels. The locusts inside are nutritious and full of calcium and energy, something this lot need in abundance. And when it's time to rest, there's nothing better than a family group hug. At the park's hospital, Chimp Jester has been on the operating table for more than an hour. Vets John Lewis and Dave Harding are about to try and remove a large malignant lump from the chimp's bottom lip. But to prevent the cancerous cells from spreading, they also need to cut away a large part of the lip. They've come up with a plan they hope will enable Jestah to maintain a good quality of life.
We don't know how it's going to affect his eating and drinking. He's a chimp. I suspect he'll eat and drink very well, thank you. It may not be competent initially, but he'll soon get the hang of it. But I've never been involved in removing half a chimp's lower lip before. I don't know, but I suspect he'll cope very well.
Saffron, you've got a scalpel blade.
Dave needs to cut away enough of the lump and lip to ensure there's no danger of the cancer returning. But he also has to leave enough of the area to be able to stitch the lip back together.
Okay, you ready?
So Jestah can eat and drink without reopening the wound.
It's a question of trying to get a compromise between taking enough tissue and not too much. And we try to get around about 5 millimeters either side of the tumour. And I'm pretty hopeful that that's achievable.
Dave has removed the lump and part of the lip quite quickly. The tricky part is now stitching it all back together.
Once that's stitched, I think the bleeding there is minimal, John.
Okay.
I think if we just do lots of intramuscular sutures, I think that's stopped.
There are lots of tiny muscles and blood vessels within the tissue, making sewing it up a painstaking and fiddly job. But they all need to fully heal if Jestah is going to be able to eat and make facial expressions. Vital if he's going to have a normal life within the bachelor chimp society.
Coming together nicely.
It's looking really nice, Dave.
The more layers Dave can put in, the greater the chance of the stitches holding together and the lip healing. Once he's repeated the whole process on the inside, Dave decides to superglue the stitches for added safety.
I mean, we can put some glue on the outside if you like. It's got a lot of stitches in there, but it's not a bad thing. Can we put some glue?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
It's an incredibly neat job. Apart from the row of perfect stitches, it's hard to tell the large cancerous lump was ever there.
That should just heal with just a slight degree of restriction of the amount of expression that he can now do. Having said that, over time, we would hope that the tissue will stretch a little bit and there will be precious little impact to him on that front. So hopefully we have been able to get some sort of decent margin of healthy tissue around it. Then the chances of recurrence are much less.
It's been a long but successful morning, and everyone is delighted with the outcome. Jestah, still under sedation, is returned to the bedrooms at the Bachelors. Staff will keep a close eye on his recovery, but they're optimistic he has a good future ahead. The weather in Dorset can be a little dreary during the winter months, with colder temperatures and shorter days. So it's not surprising many of the primates prefer to spend their time snuggled up indoors. But at the orangutan nursery, things are about to liven up in a very colourful way.
It's all about fun this morning, so we've got loads and loads of balls that we've been donated, and it's all mixed in with various bits of food. Some of the balls have got jelly in, some of them have got pineapple in, and I'll be sure that they'll be very, very quiet for most of the day today. Having a lot of fun in there.
There's plenty to keep the youngsters playful. Along with the pineapple and jelly stuffed balls, James has distributed raisins and walnuts around the floor, which is now also covered in leaves and wood wool. The 5 orangutans who call the nursery home will have their work cut out to find their food this morning. O'Sheen leads the group into the playroom, and in seconds they're all investigating the multicoloured display and wondering if there could be food involved. "11-year-old Sylvester strikes lucky first with a fruit jelly treat. His enthusiasm and size gives him an advantage over the 3 younger orangs in the group. But today's challenge needs brains and luck too. Rika thinks she's worked it out. Gather up as many as you can all at once. Bulu Mata rejects a couple before deciding this one conceals something worth getting to grips with. O'Sheen has her own way of doing things and getting results. Taking the easiest option in a slow and methodical manner is her approach, today and always. She's worked out there's plenty of food around without having to solve the problem of the pesky balls. Cracking open a walnut is quicker, even if it does attract attention from Rika. But O'Sheen doesn't share. Sylvester tries brute strength, pounding a ball with his fist, without success. The youngest member of the group, 5-year-old Mimi, knows if she wants to hang on to her stash, keeping a low profile in the tunnel will give her time to work out what's what. The nursery orangs all have very individual personalities, mirrored by the way they've taken to the task. But however they roll, they're all enjoying today's enrichment.
Things like this, it really does help them bond a little bit. They're all having lots of fun, there's plenty to go round. It's certainly a good way to keep them busy, some of them having food in and some of them don't, so they really have to check every single ball rather than just grabbing what they can. So they certainly will have their work cut out today.
And when they've had enough, the youngsters do what they do best when presented with a colourful ball pit. Just have fun. The maintenance team have a big job on their hands this morning. A birch tree in the park has been felled for safety reasons, and rather than disposing of it, they've offered it to the primate care team. It's just what's needed for one of the outdoor enclosures, and it's being taken across to one of the park's newest groups, the guenons.
We are going to a lot of work today for our 4 guenons. You'll have seen how active these little guys are. Not just the youngsters, not just the 2 girls, but mum and dad too. Dad's quite a big animal, really. He's over 4 kilos, so you'd think that he'd need something fairly substantial. But as you can see at the top, we've got some really fine little branches and twigs where they just bounce from one to another, and it's quite incredible to watch them. And it's a really natural behaviour. So we thought rather than chopping it up for firewood or using it somewhere else, we'd keep it at the full length that it is, which is about 10 metres, and we're going to effectively plant this sort of dead tree, so it's going to be a massive big branch for them, something else for them to play on, and something else for them to really use their core strength and use all their skills that they need.
Guenons are primarily frugivores, meaning fruit and seeds make up the majority of their diet. But they also love to eat fresh leaves and browse, particularly when seasonal fruits aren't readily available. It's quite an operation to get the tree in place and secure. Hopefully, all this effort will be appreciated by the family of 4. It should keep them busy and occupied for quite some time. With the tree in place, Nick opens the slides to let the guenons into the enclosure. The family love climbing and exploring, and the new tree has a network of branches to navigate. It's 10 metres tall, but that doesn't faze them. Benny is the dad of the group. He was rescued from the Lebanon 2 years ago, along with female Nia. The pair were confiscated as part of a crackdown on the worldwide trade in exotic pets. Since arriving at the park, the couple have had 2 daughters, Biff and more recently, Nala. They're a tight-knit family unit. Benny's priority today, however, is food, not family. The fresh green leaves and catkins on the tree have captured all its attention. But for daughter Biff, the new tree is one new, giant play park. She shows off her coordination and balance as she leaps around. She's a very happy and confident young female. Even 5-month-old Nala is up high checking out the tree. But she's under the watchful eye of Mum Nia, who's never far away, ready to scoop up her little daughter if she goes too far or too high. Nia is proving to be an even better mum second time around. She's definitely matured into the role and is more attentive and protective with Nala. Life for wild red-bellied guenons is very different and getting desperate. More than 50% of their habitat has been destroyed in the last 30 years alone. Their numbers are in decline, and the species, native to West Africa, is classed as endangered. The future for this guenon species is uncertain. The family at the park are the only known legally kept red-bellied guenons in captivity in the world, and they've certainly made the most of today's enrichment.
It's where they really like to be. They like to be high up, they like to see what's going on, they feel safe, and they really came together when they all ran up there as a little family unit. It's so nice to be able to see them up at this vantage point as well, so you can actually see them up at the top of the trees. And Benny and the others went straight there, right to the edge of the branches, just to get all those lovely fresh green shoots and little catkins. So they're having a really good munch. And we're really, really pleased with how they've developed into such a lovely family unit and showing all of these really great natural behaviours. So we couldn't really be more happier with them.
They only arrived in Dorset 2 years ago, but they've come a long way since then. And Benny, Nia and their 2 daughters are a great success story at the park. Next time on Monkey Life. A snip for one of the Simpsons as Marmoset Bart gets a vasectomy.
It is fiddly, yes. That's the right description for this.
And a muddy breakfast scrubs up well for the Capuchins. Today on Monkey Life. A snip for one of the Simpsons as Marmoset Bart gets a vasectomy.
It is fiddly, yes. That's the right adjective and the right description for this.
A muddy breakfast scrubs up well for the Capuchins.
What's in there, look? Can I have a look then?
And youngster Rika looks to Sylvester for help when she can't figure out a challenging new feeder. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
You just never know how it's going to work.
The park provides a home for more than 260 primates from 24 different species. It's been just over 2 months since Alison answered an emergency call and headed up to Liverpool to rescue a family of 3 common marmosets. Their owner had died suddenly, and a concerned neighbour took them in until help could be found.
Hi, you.
The trio weren't in the best of health, but fast forward to today, and Maggie, Marge and Bart have been transformed.
The Simpsons are doing amazingly well since they've arrived here. They've really just completely changed 100%, and they're unrecognisable from the animals that came in, really. They're just a really nice, settled trio. They're so comfortable around each other and really happy around each other. They play constantly. Leaves, straw, anything that they can, that's kind of new to them, really. I think they just really love anything.
The park doesn't breed marmosets because space is at a premium. To prevent it happening, males who are fit enough are given a vasectomy. And today, it's Bart's turn.
He's obviously living with his mum and his sister. That's 2 females. He shouldn't breed with them, but that's not to say that he won't. So we just want to get this done as soon as possible. Now we know he's fit and healthy.
Local vet Cesar Sastre will carry out the operation. Bart is anaesthetised using a specially designed anaesthetic box for small primates. Once under, Cesar gives him a quick health check.
Oh, he's got a really nice condition, this animal, eh?
I know, they weren't when they got here, but they've really gotten a lot of muscle now.
Yeah, it's really great. Then we have a look in the mouth, and then we go back to masking. Yeah, his teeth are perfect. Very healthy. Very good. Okay, all yours then.
Vasectomy is a fairly simple procedure involving the removal of a small piece of the tube connecting the testis to the urethra. But on an animal weighing only 300 grams, it can be very delicate.
It is fiddly, yes. That's the right adjective and the right description for this. It's very fiddly. It's 300 grams animal, so the deferens duct is really, really little, and yeah, it's fiddly. Simply that, but you know, it's doable.
Luckily, Cesar has performed many of these operations before and has a steady hand. The tube he has to locate is minuscule and is in a bundle that also contains a nerve and blood supply.
Right, very good. So we've got the business here. That's fantastic. The first one is that. So this is the tube that we want to ligate. It's called deferens duct. And then the vessel that is just beside it, obviously, needs to be preserved.
With the tubes separated, he carefully ties off both ends before making the snip.
And that's it. That's out.
The whole procedure is then repeated on the other side, and after 45 minutes, it's job done, and Bart is returned to his box to recover.
He's very cozy. He's just a delight. He's such a healthy animal, and 2-3 years old. He's perfect.
It's good news for Nick and the small primates team.
We like the vets and vet nurses just to monitor him coming around from his anaesthetic and make sure he's okay and well. Once he has recovered fully, then we'll take him back to his house, and primate care staff will continue to monitor him in his little cage here for a little while, just to make sure there's no vomiting or any adverse effects. But yeah, by lunchtime he should be back to normal, and I'm sure he'll be keen to have some food.
It's been a successful morning, and Bart will soon be back with the rest of the Simpson family. Managing large groups of social, occasionally volatile animals keeps the staff at the park busy, particularly during the winter months when many of the primates choose to stay inside to avoid the cold and rain. So, when some large muddy tree stumps with roots attached had to be dug up, the Capuchin team jumped at the opportunity to encourage their charges outside. And they decided to investigate if Franco's group might demonstrate behaviour displayed by wild capuchins. In their native habitat, capuchins have been known to wash their food, rinsing items covered in sand or soil in fresh water before eating them. Donna and her team are keen to see if any of Franco's group show this behaviour. They're covering a breakfast of primate pellets in mud and clay and smearing the mixture all over the tree stumps. They're also placing tubs of fresh, clean water nearby to give the group the opportunity to wash their food.
Capuchins are extremely intelligent, so it's so important to keep them busy so they don't get bored, and if they get bored, inevitably they have squabbles. So we like to try and keep them busy as much as possible. But today we've got a bit of a break in the weather, so we've decided to do something outside. And this is really different. I mean, I certainly haven't done anything like this for the capuchins before, so they're not going to be expecting it. They're probably not going to go straight to it because they don't know what it is and that there's going to be food in there. So it might take them a little bit of a while to search out the food, but it's really exciting to give them something new.
Today's experiment is made more interesting because the majority of Franco's group were born in a laboratory. The two exceptions are older females Lucy and Mary, who were wild-caught in Brazil and may have experienced food washing. They're let out first.
What's in there, look? Ooh. Go and have a look then.
Donna is hoping the pair will lead the way and encourage the others.
They do have that wild instinct a little bit more, and so hopefully they might demonstrate the behaviour of washing the food a little bit more than maybe some of the younger individuals.
But Donna's scheme falls at the first hurdle. Time for Plan B. Let the rest of the group out and observe their reaction to the task. Leader Franco wastes no time heading to the water tub to investigate. But he isn't impressed. Emily manages to dig out quite a few pellets, but washing her food doesn't seem a priority. The mud-covered tree stumps soon entice a number of the group to take a look. Fiona excavates quite a few pellets, but doesn't seem at all bothered by food hygiene. Finally, one of the females shows some initiative. Frida dunks her muddy treats in the water, and soon others are following her example. Capuchins are incredibly bright, thought to be the most intelligent of all the monkey species, and great at problem solving. Emily demonstrates she's a quick learner. Felipe cleans up, giving his food a thorough rinse. Donna isn't sure if the capuchins are showing natural behaviour or just having fun.
They certainly put the pellet into the water. I think this scenario is quite difficult to tell if they were actually actively seeking out the water to wash the food or whether the water was there and they just thought it would be fun. And some of the individuals would literally go over, put the pellet in the water and just take it out again and didn't necessarily wash all of the mud off. But in this scenario, we had the tubs of water right next to the pellet, so it was very easy and convenient for them to do that. But I think in the future, if we maybe put the food further away from the water, then we'd be able to see if they would actually seek out the water to wash the food, or actually if they just don't care that it's dirty.
It's been an interesting exercise in capuchin behaviour. Franco's group have been kept busy, and the care team know they can expand the idea another time. But as the rain arrives, some of the capuchins head indoors, and only a few hardy stragglers remain outside, searching through the mud for any remaining food. With the days getting colder and shorter, as summer fades to autumn at the park, many of the primates are opting to spend time indoors. At the orangutan nursery, James and Jarno have come up with an idea to bring the outside in. So this bright group of 5 will stay entertained in their playroom.
So this is a homemade termite mound that we've come up with, me and Jarno, just to keep the guys busy. Today we're going to put some sweet potato in it. It's been cooked already just so that it's a bit more sticky and squishy for them to get out. And they should have a lot of fun with it, hopefully.
The puzzle has been created by inserting dog toys filled with food into holes cut into wooden boards. The entire contraption is then strung up and attached to the mesh outside the group's playroom. It's been carefully designed to encourage natural foraging behaviour.
In the wild, the orangutans would sometimes find little grubs and things like that in trees, and they'd have to really work at it to get them out. So today we've made a monkey world version, and they should really work at trying to get these out. And when they get a bit better with doing this, we'll probably go to giving them some sticks to play with it as well.
The slide to the playroom is opened, and the group wastes little time heading in to investigate. "11-year-old Sylvester likes to take the lead and is first to work out the puzzle. He's a confident and extremely inquisitive young adult who's become an excellent role model for the other youngsters in the group. Rika secures herself a nice spot on the mesh to try and reach some of the sweet potato. But the challenge is a bit confusing. Sylvester gently moves her out of the way to show her how it's done. Being smaller has advantages, as Mimi and the youngsters demonstrate. Their little hands mean it's easier to reach through the mesh to manipulate the food. Along with the puzzle boards, Jarno and James have hung up some feeders in the playroom, so everyone has an opportunity to get their fair share of breakfast. But, true to form, food-obsessed Oisin has taken sole possession.
She certainly likes her food. Although she's lost a lot of weight, she's still very, very dominant in the way that she wants to get the food. So every so often, Sylvester now as well, being a little bit more hormonal and growing up, she will have a little bit of a squabble sometimes over Sylvester. She still certainly has the throne in the nursery and is dominant over him, but he is getting to that point where he's not far off of beating her with his strength and things like that. So again, another reason why we try and space our enrichment out in the enclosures and insides as much as possible, just to try and give some of the less dominant characters in the group a bit of a chance to get some food, really.
With so many options, no one is missing out. Bulu Mata has managed to get his fair share, and Oisin somewhat more than hers. Now, having emptied the cube feeders, she's prepared to tackle the new puzzles. Sweet potato is obviously a favourite. The youngsters get the message. It's time to leave their adoptive mum to it and head off for their favourite pastime, a fun-filled play session. In the last few months, there's been trouble brewing at Malagasy. Life in the ring-tailed lemur enclosure has been far from harmonious. The males tend to get along, but pet-trade female Kaya is a pushy character who likes to throw her weight around, and the boys finally got fed up with her. It resulted in a dispute, and Kaya came off worse with some very nasty injuries.
I've not seen an injury like that with any of our lemurs before. It was quite horrendous and very, very quickly created. We unfortunately didn't see it. We were gone from Malagasy for 10 minutes and that was all. And in that time, they inflicted 5 very serious wounds on her, because she is a bit of a wild one, is Kaya, and she does test them, which may have actually been why she ended up with that horrendous injury. She does push them, and at the time she was really pushing Sirius's buttons and really trying to wind him up quite a lot. So we think that she may have done that. He retaliated and Indiana backed his brother up, and that's how this horrific injury occurred. So we had to get the vet in, we had to do a lot of stitch-ups, we had to remove her from the troop for a considerable amount of time while she healed, because unfortunately one of the wounds that they inflicted on her, there wasn't enough skin left to stitch it back together, so she was actually left with an open wound for over a month. So we had to bring her out of Malagasy, put her into a much cleaner environment with just blankets on the floor, no straw or hay or anything like that that could have got into that wound. So it has been quite a testing time up there.
Thanks to the efforts of the vet team, Kaya is now recovering well in some bedrooms at the Guenon house. Back at Malagasy, there's still tension in the air. Females are dominant in lemur society, and Fennel has been in charge for years. But there's still a male hierarchy below her, and with 8 of them in the troop, the fight is now on to be lead male.
For a very long time, it was Indiana as number 1 and Sirius as number 2. And that's changed, and I don't know where they are in the hierarchy, but they're certainly nowhere near the top anymore. But we actually don't know who is at the top. So we've got quite a few vying for that position. So we've got our youngest boys, Kurt and Friedrich. They're desperate to get up to the top, and they probably will make it because, again, they're twins, like Indiana and Sirius. They've got each other as backup. 2 is always better than 1. Hamal's not backing down very easily. And Renton is very good friends with Fennel, our dominant female, so he's also up there at the top. White Spot's not so much bothered, really. He kind of keeps himself out of it. And then you've also got Al, our most recent arrival, one of our ex-pet trade animals. And he's quite savvy, he's quite clever, so he's, again, trying to get up there as well. It's very confusing at the moment as to who actually has that top spot, and I don't think there is anyone at the moment.
Age may play an important factor as to who comes out on top.
All our original troop are getting older now, and the youngsters are young and fit and healthy and just a lot more probably raring to go and take on this challenge, really.
With no conflict resolution in sight, it looks like the primate care team will need to keep a careful eye on life at Malagasy. And that's even before they solve the problem of what to do about busybody Kaya returning home. It's round 2 of Woolly Kaplunk, the challenging feeding method the care team trialled recently with Enzo's group. This time, it's the turn of Lavar's troop at the top Woolly enclosure. They're getting a revised and modified version of the game, which could be a little more challenging.
We've added a few more sticks in there, we've also squished in a load of straw, so we're hoping this will actually keep them a little bit busier, challenge them a little bit more. Just be interesting to see there's different methods. They can just try and pull out all the straw and see if they can reach through some of the sticks, or if they pull the sticks out then the food will just fall out the bottom. So I suppose we'll just see which options they choose. They've all got their own little methods, so we'll just see how they enjoy them.
The primate care team are convinced they've made the game a bit trickier after Enzo's group worked out sneaky ways to get to the food without putting in the effort. The group come bounding out, although a couple of the youngsters are a little wary of the unusual feeders. Bueno Jr. is first to get stuck into the task, but he pulls out the straw rather than the sticks. He does get to the fruit, but most of it falls to the floor. It doesn't go to waste. Below him, Lavar, who's older and wiser, waits for easy pickings, which don't involve concentration or hard work. There have been a few changes to the makeup of this group in recent months. Pichua, an 11-year-old female rehomed from the Netherlands, has integrated well and been readily accepted by Lavar and the rest of the troop. She loves the large enclosure and uses her strength and agility to reach the feeders. Her prehensile tail serves as an anchor, freeing up her hands to pick out some peppers. There's also been another new addition. Zingu gave birth to baby Leroy just over 4 months ago. He's still reliant on being carried around by his experienced mum. However, he's interested in everything around him and brave enough to occasionally come off and explore. His sister Layla is totally independent. When she's not playing with half-sister Olivia, she's mostly off investigating the enclosure. She has a close relationship with little brother Leroy, and they clearly adore each other. Watching and learning how Mum Zingu rears him will stand her in good stead when she has babies of her own. The Kaplunk feeders have been a hit again, just not in the way the primate care team had imagined. Today, the feeding challenge has encouraged the woolies to use their minds and amazing strength like they would in the wild. A success for the woolies and the care team. Next time on Monkey Life. Stumpie Freddy's dental issue proves taxing for wildlife vet John Lewis.
The upper, well, all the canines have big roots. It might be sit up on the table job, this one.
And Ash tries out her lumberjack skills. But Rodders runs off with the spoils. Today on Monkey Life. Stumpie Freddy's dental issue proves taxing for wildlife vet John Lewis.
The upper, well, all the canines have big roots. It might be sit up on the table job, this one.
Busybody lemur Kaya receives a muted welcome when she returns to her troop after a group bust-up.
No one is calling back to her, which is quite telling at the minute.
And Ash tries out her lumberjack skills. But Rodders runs off with the spoils. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
I can't keep her in, get her in. Okay, got it.
The park provides a home for more than 260 primates from 24 different species. It's another busy day at the park for wildlife vet John Lewis. Along with animal director Jeremy, he's heading to the Stumpie house to anaesthetise Freddy.
So, just to confirm, he hasn't eaten today. Good.
Freddy has a nasty abscess on his face, which needs examining. It could be a dental issue, often a problem for ageing stump-tailed macaques. The species are sometimes referred to as dustbins because they'll eat almost anything. And Freddy is no exception. Freddy's been anaesthetised, loaded into a travel crate, and is now on his way to the park's hospital.
Jeremy managed to net him without too much difficulty, and so we can hand inject through the net, which is always better than darting.
No one's sure exactly how old Freddy is. He arrived from an animal rescue centre in Belgium in 2016, along with his pal Toto, without any medical history. At the hospital, John intubates him and takes a look inside the Stumpie's mouth.
Well, there's two teeth on that side which could be responsible. One is the upper incisor number 2, and the other is the right incisor 2 and the upper right canine. I'll go for the canine first because that'll be the hardest work.
If the canine is infected and causing the abscess, removing it will be far from easy.
The upper, well, all the canines have big roots. It might be sit up on the table job, this one.
It requires a lot of probing to try and loosen the tooth from the gum before John can even think of extracting.
This is testing, this isn't pulling. Just seeing if we've got any movement. Not really. Keep on going.
It takes John more than an hour of hard work.
I'm sensing a weak spot.
Before finally, the canine comes free.
You can see why the root is such a problem to get out. It's huge.
John is satisfied that the canine was the cause of the problem.
It has quite enough trauma for an old guy at the moment, so we'll let him come round and see how that does. You see that little hole there on the side of his face? That's the clue that it's a canine, because the canine sits in the jaw and the root comes out roughly there. So any infection tracking up the root forms an abscess and then bursts out on the side of the face. So funnily enough, that is a clue to a canine problem.
Once the wound is flushed out, Freddy is returned to his transport box to recover from the anaesthetic, under the watchful eye of Jeremy. He has quite a soft spot for the species.
They take me back. You know, when I was a lad, in our zoo, we had old-fashioned monkeys, you know, old world, roughy-tufty baboons, macaques, mangabees. We actually had some stump-tailed macaques, and nobody knew what they were. Even my father, who was supposed to have been the expert on everything that ever lived and breathed, nobody actually knew what they were. They were the unidentified Basher and Ada, and they live forever, and they're as hard as nails, and I love them to bits.
Freddy will be sore for a few days, but should heal up quite quickly. Nothing stops a Stumpy when it comes to food. The park is home to the world's last captive breeding group of woolly monkeys outside South America. Woolies are difficult to look after in captivity and are endangered in the wild, so it's a huge credit to the primate care team that they're thriving at Monkey World. They do all they can to look after this special species. As part of that effort, the maintenance team are hard at work at the home of Enzo's group, known as the Pond Woolies. The troop has expanded recently with the arrival of Pacaja's baby, Esmeralda. To give them more space, their indoor living area is being extended and a brand new, fully roofed outdoor enclosure is being built. To accommodate this, a couple of large willow trees had to be felled. But they're not going to waste. The team have a plan. Two groups of chimps are in for a catkin-filled treat.
It is nice to give them something that they won't necessarily get all year round. It is good enrichment for them. It's something that's natural. What they'll do with the branches from willow is that they peel the bark off and then chew it up and make it into a wadge, which is a natural behaviour which we want to encourage in captivity. So in the wild, they'd sit and chew on these fibrous things and make what we call wadges or boluses, which is just like a big ball of chewed up fibrous plant matter that they sit within the lip, but it's this comfort thing of having something in their mouths, and they'll do that with the willow bark.
The lucky chimps today are Bart's group of 16 and Brian's smaller troop of 5. Hannah opens the slide to let the chimps at Bart's enclosure go first. High-ranking females Beth and Cindy lead the group out. But at this time of day, even new trees in the enclosure don't take precedence over a fruit breakfast. As leader, it's Bart's duty to check out the new structure. But his sister Eddie beats him to it. While the high rankers tuck into oranges, Eddie has the whole tree to herself and makes the most of it. She doesn't just want the bark, she wants an entire branch. Bart joins Toprish to tuck into the catkins. Toprish has come a long way in the 2.5 years she's been at the park. Because she's Bart's favoured lady, she's risen steadily through the ranks, reaching the higher echelons. Soon everyone is taking an interest in the willow tree. With Eddie still trying to break off a branch, Lola succeeding, but on a smaller scale. And Kathy already stripping the bark off hers. The willow tree has proved a hit with Bart's group.
It wasn't quite the massive, exciting thing that it sometimes is, which is probably because there weren't any leaves on the tree. And we did put their breakfast out there as well for them to come out to. But they're clearly enjoying it now. And I think that will keep their attention for quite some time, rather than it just being really exciting and then over with. It's caught their interest and they're all going over and having a good look around.
Now it's the turn of Brian's group. How will they react on finding something big and new in their enclosure? There's certainly more enthusiasm, with lots of hooting and hollering, as Ash is first on the scene, followed closely by Rodders. There are only 5 chimps in this small group, so there's no need to rush. Just like the high rankers at Bart's, leader Brian is more interested in finding breakfast than checking out the tree. Lulu has torn off a piece of bark to chew and taken herself off to a quiet spot. She's 29 years old now and prefers a slower, more peaceful pace of life. Nari takes everything in her stride. She's a remarkable chimp who, despite years of abuse and neglect, has emerged as a much-loved, fun and important part of this little troop. Ash is a very different character. She's grown into the park's largest female, capable of throwing her weight around when she wants to. She's determined to break off a large branch, trying every which way. Tugging, pulling, bending, until eventually, success. Brute force prevails. Ash does all the hard work, but it's Rodders who runs off with the spoils. Two trees and 2 groups of chimps, both enjoying a fibre-rich addition to their breakfast. It's been a few weeks since ring-tailed lemur Kaya was on the receiving end of some very nasty injuries, inflicted by one or more of her family group. She was left with a gaping open wound on her leg, and the team was seriously worried for her survival. But thanks to the efforts of the vet team and the attention of her dedicated carers, Kaya has recovered.
There were times where we seriously thought she was going to lose her leg. And then there was even the question of, is a 3-legged lemur okay? Will it manage? Everyone's worked really hard to get Kaya back to where she is now. And she does bounce back and she's pretty resilient. And I don't really know whether that's ever going to change her behaviour. She's going to go back to Malagasy and be as bolshy and bossy as ever and may get another injury in the future. I don't think she's that clever that she will have changed her behaviour because of this.
Lemurs are very social animals, so during her rehabilitation, the team did their best to offer Kaya some company. For a few brief days, she met Patas monkey Mitsa, who had recently lost her best friend, George the lemur. But sadly, it wasn't meant to be. Elderly Mitsa's health had been deteriorating, and as her condition worsened, the team took the difficult decision to put her to sleep.
Everyone absolutely adored her, and she was just a wonderful creature. And she was just I want to say a joy to be around. She wasn't really, because she was quite grumpy, but she made some great noises and she would always chat at you. But Patas monkeys live on average about 21 years and she was about 27 when she died. So she was a good age. So now we've got obviously Kaya ready to go back to Malagasy.
The team decided to start with a reintroduction to top female Fennel along with White Spot. But it didn't go to plan. With Kaya letting Fennel know she was in her territory. Now the team have decided the best option is for Kaya to return to Malagasy and rejoin the troop, where there are established rules.
It's Fennel's turf. She's got her boys to back her up, and hopefully in that situation, Kaya will hopefully slot back into the position that she was in before.
But it's going to be one step at a time. Kaya will move into the smaller caged enclosure within Malagasy, where she'll be able to meet the others in a more controlled, safe space. This morning, she has twins Kurt and Friedrich for company. But they're ignored as she hurries into the enclosure, struts her stuff, and tells off anyone she can see on the other side of the mesh.
You can tell she's worried because she's back here and there's lemurs everywhere again. But her default setting is aggression, because if she's worried about something, she'll protect herself.
Kaya is constantly on the move, contact calling anyone in sight.
No one is calling back to her, which is quite telling at the minute.
There are some housemates the young female constantly clashes with, including Renton and Indiana. If she's going to fully integrate back into the group, Kaya is going to have to rein in the attitude.
Lemur intros are difficult. They've always been difficult. So it took us 9 months to get Kurt and Friedrich into this troop. So it is only day one. So it's still very early. Fingers crossed, we'll just give it some more time and hopefully she'll calm down and the ones outside will calm down or lose interest and walk away. And then that'll give her time to try and bond again with Kurt and Friedrich.
It may be a long process, but it's not the first time the team have had to assimilate Kaya with the troop. They're confident that once again, she'll be accepted back into the fold. At the Saki monkey house and enclosure, primate care team member Elle has prepared something a little different for doting couple Desmond and Chloe. She's filled pine cones with sunflower seeds and smeared them with honey and banana. It's a treat the pair haven't sampled before.
It's a little bit more interesting, it's a little bit more challenging as well. They don't get this often. We do give them enrichment every day, but we haven't tried this type of enrichment yet. And obviously the things we've got in there, seeds they do get regularly, but honey and banana not so much because they're quite high in sugar. So yeah, just a treat for today.
Elle strings the pine cones up around the outdoor enclosure to encourage the Saki pair to be more active. But as Chloe is the oldest captive Saki in Europe, a few have been left on the platforms to make it a bit easier for her. The sticky treat isn't just for Chloe and Desmond. A former housemate has rejoined them in the enclosure.
Recently, we've had, as we always do at Monkey World, a few extra marmosets arrive, which has filled us up almost to bursting point. So we've had to add a marmoset into the group of Sakis, into the pair of Sakis. So we know that Loki's lived with these guys before, so we know this worked. And Loki pretty much never stops. He's active all the time, he's frantic all the time. But then sometimes you'll see him sunbathing right next to the Sakis and they're pretty chilled out with each other.
The trio are let out, and, true to form, Marmoset Loki bounds into the enclosure to investigate.
I think that was some happy chirps from Loki. Oh, and Desmond's not so sure over there.
Loki's already locked on to a pine cone as Chloe carefully manoeuvres her way along the platforms, while Desmond still needs some persuading.
Come on, Desmond. Good boy.
Loki has settled back into life with the two Sakis well. His early life in the UK pet trade left him human-focused, and he found living with other marmosets very difficult. Life alongside the Sakis is more stable. He's a common marmoset, and like the rest of the species, adept at negotiating high branches. This means he can reach the suspended pine cones with ease. Marmosets have long tongues, perfect for licking tree sap in the wild, which forms a major part of their diet. Today, he finds it just as useful for honey and banana. The combination doesn't appeal to Chloe, who gives it a cursory glance before tucking into pieces of sweet potato left out by the care team as an addition. Desmond shares her preference, and they breakfast together in their favourite spot. The days are getting warmer and spring is on its way, heralding the arrival of new buds and flowers and fresh leaves on the trees. It brings a feast for many of the park's primates.
Those of you who suffer with hay fever will know that it starts getting a bit sneezy because it's tree pollen time. And one of the trees that we've got here, this willow, is full of pollen. So all these catkins are stuffed full of pollen. And the marmosets and the loris are quite fond of a bit of nectar and pollen. And so we've put this in here to try and encourage some natural behaviours where they actually, come along and sniff it and lick up the nectar and the pollen and normally end up with a bit of a yellow face as a result. So as they move on through the forest, they end up pollinating other trees and plants.
The first group to sample the catkins and pollen will be the park's newest arrivals, a family of 3 common marmosets, now known as the Simpsons. Today's experience will be a first for them.
They are obviously from the pet trade, and so they've never sort of experienced this kind of natural behaviour before, but we're really confident that, given something that's quite nice and smelly and pungent, that they'll come out and they'll actually have a good go at it, so we'll see.
The door to their enclosure is opened, and the trio, led by Bart, head outside. At first, they're a bit wary of the unfamiliar treat. It's excitable Maggie, one of the youngsters, who's first to try the catkins and discover she absolutely loves them. Soon, the others follow her lead. All 3 are quite different in character. Mum Marge is young at heart, often quite playful and generally enjoys life. Bart seems to be growing into his role as the man of the house. And Maggie, although still nervous at times, is coming out of her shell with the support of her family. All 3 are developing a taste for the catkins. In the wild, a common marmoset's diet consists mainly of tree sap and gum, as well as insects. The foliage in the forests of South America, where marmosets can be found, flowers at different times of the year. The marmosets, like all primates, exploit whatever's available during each season. Pollen dispersal is vital for maintaining healthy forests, which in turn benefits the animals living there.
Primates have really evolved all over the world in different ways to help with that job. So small animals like marmosets and some of the other smaller monkeys will bury their face in the flowers to try and get to that really sugary, rich nectar. And as they do that, their faces get covered like the back end of a bee with this lovely pollen. And they'll move on through the forest and take that pollen with them, and then they'll pollinate those plants by going to the next flower and so on. And so they're really important for that.
In just 2 short months, the trio have been transformed. It demonstrates how pet trade primates, given the opportunity, can overcome their traumas to develop and display more natural behaviours. However, this group might not be a threesome for much longer.
We do have a rather large lady in there, so despite vasectomizing Bart, Marge, the mother, she's almost certainly pregnant. So they're doing everything that a normal marmoset family would do. They've got access to the outside enclosure and are really enjoying that. And put them in the right situation with the right diet, the right environment, the right structure. They're doing things that, we expect them to do as a marmoset group. So they're gouging on branches, they're inspecting pollinated branches and all sorts of things. They're just doing everything that we would really hope that a marmoset family would do in its rehabilitation.
Next time on Monkey Life. At the Park Hospital, it's all systems go for vet Cesar Sastre and the team.
Right, so let's have a look at this. Yeah, beautiful. No chest metastases, that's good.
And the chimps go potty for porridge pots. Today on Monkey Life. At the Park's hospital, it's all systems go for vet Cesar Sastre and the team, with a patient list including Marmoset Jenny.
Oh, hello. Yes.
Capuchin Abby.
Yeah, it's full of pus down there.
And squirrel monkey Lopez.
Right, so let's have a look at this. Yeah, beautiful. No chest metastases. That's good.
Plus, the chimps go potty for porridge pots. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
Everybody's well aware that they need to be looked after carefully. They should be okay.
The park provides a home for more than 260 primates from 24 different species. It's going to be a busy day at the park's hospital. Vet Cesar Sastre has arrived with a packed schedule ahead of him. He has a number of small primates to examine. And although nothing major is scheduled, he does have some delicate procedures on his list. First up is female marmoset Jenny.
Oh, hello. Yes. You are talking a lot.
Feisty little lady too. Jenny has a lump in her mouth, and it's a sort of recurring lump. We've already operated once and removed some of it, and so Cesar's now going to give her an anaesthetic and have a look and see what the lump's doing, why it's growing, and how much it's grown, and potentially actually remove more of it again this time. And hopefully she'll be a bit more comfortable when we're able to remove some of that swelling in her gum.
Jenny arrived last year, having been rescued from the British pet trade. She'd lost her partner, and her previous owner realised she couldn't take care of her properly. She came with a large lump on her face, which on inspection proved to be benign. Cesar surgically removed as much of it as he could, but a year later, the lump has once again increased in size.
Wow, it's pretty big. It's growing back. I'm gonna try to take a chunk out of it. If I can.
Cesar doesn't think it will be a long procedure, so his next patient needs to be prepped and ready.
Oh, I'm gonna be quick on this. Okay, let me have a look.
Okay, Toby, Cesar thinks he's going to be quite quick with this, so if you can crack on and get Abby crated and brought up here, please.
At the Capuchin Lodge, Toby is preparing to crate up Abby. She has dental issues which need urgent attention. Back at the hospital...
Okay, let's go for it.
Cesar gets to work. But just like last year's operation, it's not straightforward.
So hard. That is actually difficult to resect. So you see how I'm peeling it off from the jawbone, actually.
He has to remove the lump bit by bit.
Okay, we finished that little bit.
He's excised as much as he can.
This is gonna come back, eh? I don't really want to do it till it's actually causing trouble to the animal next time. Just leave it there till it's causing trouble to this animal.
Unless it's affecting her eating or if it's bleeding or something, yeah.
Abby's here, wow. You guys are doing really well today. Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, she can go.
As Jenny leaves in her box to recover, the next patient is brought in. Abby is an older female capuchin and lives with Erico's group at the lodge. She's on long-term medication for arthritis, but a week ago, the primate care staff noticed a large swelling on her face.
So Abby is very old. Because she was wild caught, her age is only an estimate, so about 31, certainly over 30. And whenever we have any of those older animals down for an anaesthetic, it is always a bit of a worry and a bit of a risk. A dental normally is quite straightforward, but it doesn't always mean to say that it goes well. So we'll always keep our fingers crossed and hopefully she'll recover really well. But certainly being an older animal, it does come with a lot more complications.
Cesar intubates Abby so he can control the anaesthetic whilst working on her teeth.
Fantastic.
Before proceeding, he gives her a quick general health check.
Wow, she's really arthritic on the hips. She's very arthritic on the knees as well. That's why the muscle wastage here. Hey, that comes with age, I'm afraid. There's no masses in the tummy. Tummy feels fine. Now liver, kind of feel it, that's good. Okay.
Today's issue becomes obvious when Cesar takes a look inside Abby's mouth.
Right, so there is a couple of teeth here that they look a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Actually, you can, yeah, it's full of pus down there. Okay, anyway, let's crack on and do this.
The 2 rotten teeth may be the cause of Abby's abscess. They need to come out.
One down there. Okay, oof, mamma mia.
As Cesar works, he discovers more teeth need removing.
So I think I'm gonna take it out as well. And in fact, yeah, it is slightly wobbly.
In all, 6 teeth, 1 incisor and 5 molars are extracted.
I'm hoping that it will really help her. She's not going to be in any pain, and yeah, it should make eating a lot better for her.
Abby's gums will soon harden, and she'll be able to use her remaining teeth to eat. She'll be given a course of antibiotics and pain relief, and will soon be back to her normal self. But for Cesar, there's still a lengthy queue in the waiting room, as there are more small primates needing his attention. The park stretches across 65 acres and is home to areas of natural woodland and many native plants. Throughout the seasons, the teams keep an eye on what the land offers up that could be used to enrich the lives of their charges. Today's lucky recipients are the park's 8 stump-tailed macaques. The small monkey team have come across some insect-laden rotten logs for the group to enjoy.
Hopefully there's bugs and things inside there, and the stumpies hopefully just come out, rip it all to pieces, enjoy some nice treats. The stumpies destroy everything, so it's kind of nice to give them an enrichment they can destroy, and then we don't have to worry about them eating something they shouldn't do. But this, it's all natural, they can destroy it, they can throw it around as much as they want and have a great time.
As well as insects and bugs, the stumpies can eat the bark. It provides good roughage and benefits their digestion.
So it's not going to be a huge effort for the stumpies to get into them, but as you can see, they're quite rotten here, and then they just get a little bit harder, so hopefully they'll get through all this bit first, and then as the rain hits the rest of it, over the next coming weeks and months, they'll be able to get the rest of it as well.
The logs are placed all around the enclosure, giving everyone the chance for a good old forage. The 2 lowest-ranking boys, Toto and Freddy, are let out first, to give them a head start over the more dominant stumpies. And with the high rankers absent for now, Toto takes the opportunity for a little display. Freddy, however, gets stuck straight in. He's now fully recovered from his recent dental operation to remove a large canine, which had caused an abscess. He's a clever stumpy who, unlike Toto, totally understands the social etiquette required within the group.
He understands all the social cues, all the behaviours. He kind of knows where to slot himself and when to do certain things. He seems to really understand how to be a macaque, which is really nice. Now, we only know him from living with one other female before he came to us, but he may have lived with others before then, and his behaviour certainly indicates that. Whereas Toto, for what we knew, lived on his own for a very long time, and again, his behaviour indicates that. He just doesn't know how to behave socially.
In the last few months, there have been signs that Toto's developing a better relationship with the others and learning to integrate more. It's just as well, because here they come to join in the bug hunt. The rotten logs have grabbed everyone's attention. They get to work scraping and foraging, and munching everything in sight. Sam is the boss of the group. At 34, he's getting on in life, but he's still loved and respected by the ladies. Kelly is the dominant female, and the largest in the group. She absolutely loves her food. The other girls are Noreen, Charlie, Sylvie, and Flo. Stumpies are notoriously grumpy with each other, and squabbles often break out, reminding the lower rankers of their place. But with so much to keep them interested, today's minor spat is soon forgotten.
I think this enrichment has been a great success for the Stumpies. Yeah, they all seem to have had a little bit of a go, some more than others, but I think it's definitely worked well for them. They seem to be a really good kind of rottenness, so they've found it quite easy. I think if it's not so rotten and it's a bit difficult, they could get a bit bored quicker, but they've really taken a lot of time over these logs, particularly Freddy. He seems to really enjoy it, but everyone's had a go and everyone seems to have had a good time.
"13 years ago, the park took on its biggest ever mission, rescuing and rehoming 88 capuchin monkeys from a laboratory in Chile. With so many different characters, abilities and health issues, settling all 88 capuchins into groups where they could coexist was a huge task. To this day, the team continued to adjust and evolve the 5 social groups, which were formed to accommodate their needs. With so many capuchins to look after, it's important to be able to check each one to ensure they're happy and healthy. The species is widely recognised as highly intelligent, and many of those at the park have been trained in behaviours that assist the care staff with their day-to-day care.
This is where it goes wrong sometimes, is you end up with 2 capuchins on the scales at the same time.
Today, Donna and Katie are training 2 of the park's younger and very enthusiastic males.
Fabian! Good boy.
Fabian and his boss, dominant male Franco, are being taught to take a voluntary hand injection.
Side. That's not really what we want. Can you give it to me properly? That's your back. Side. Good boy, that's better. Very good.
It's a useful behaviour for the capuchins to master in case they need medication via a syringe.
Oh, you're amazing.
Or, in the worst case, an anaesthetic before a hospital procedure.
The first thing we do is train them to present the area that we need to inject. So with the capuchins, we actually get them to present the whole of their side so that we have the option of their arm or their thigh to inject into. Once they've got that behaviour, we move on to what we call our, well, it's kind of like a fake needle really. So it's just got a paper clip in the end, and this just gets them used to there being a syringe round and it touching them. Side. Good boy, that's better. They also know that they only get rewarded when they give us the behaviour that they want. It's good for the keeper and primate relationship to gain that trust with them. But it is also really good for the capuchins as well, because they are such bright and intelligent individuals, and it's really important for us to try and keep their brains busy and motivated and keep them always thinking. And we do that as much as we can within the groups with other different types of enrichment, but training is another way that we can do that, and it just gives them something different to think about.
Franco is a great leader, loved by all his ladies. Fabian, although high-ranking, doesn't receive as much adulation, and this sometimes causes him to lash out.
I don't know whether it's frustration or what it is, but he could just be very disruptive, and sometimes that turns to aggression, and we do go through phases where we have a lot of injuries throughout the group, which is just something that we don't want. So one thing that we have used with Fabian in the past is an implant, and that just suppresses some of those behaviours a little bit. He hasn't actually had the implant for the last sort of 2 or 3 years because he seems to be quite settled in the group at the moment. But there is obviously that option in the future we might need to do that again. So we're just getting prepared really, so that if in the future we need to do that, then he is already injection trained.
The 2 young males are making great progress. For Donna and Katie, only another 68 capuchins to go. Back at the hospital, a long day for vet Cesar Sastre and the primate care team is coming to an end. the final patient has just been brought in. It's Lopez, a young and effervescent squirrel monkey who has a lump on his leg that needs examining.
He is very alive. Lopez never sits still really very much, and the lump doesn't seem to be bothering his mobility in any way. He's still using that leg fine. Sometimes when we try and manipulate it and feel it just to check whether it's got any bigger, he gets a bit annoyed with us, maybe so it's slightly tender and hurting him a little bit, but then other times he's perfectly fine with us touching it. So we're not quite sure whether it is bothering him or not. We don't think so most of the time, but it'd be good to get a check over, make sure it's not malignant, and just figure out what it is and make sure if it is something bad that it's not spread anywhere else.
One of the park's youngest and most boisterous squirrel monkeys, Lopez was rescued 4 years ago, along with Logan and Lucille. He's so bouncy that when he's on the move, it's hard for the team to get a good look at the growth. But they can tell it's grown substantially in size in recent weeks.
How old is Lopez?
Where's my sheep? I think he's about 6.
Cesar shaves away the fur so he can get a closer look at the lump.
He's definitely on top of the calf, but there's something here that it feels almost like he has had a trauma in there.
Cesar is slightly perplexed. Vet nurse Saffron, who's been keeping an eye on the swelling, thinks it may have shrunk in the last few days.
It's definitely a mass. It's gone down, which is good news. So this is not malignant. It cannot be. If it was malignant, this is not gonna go down. Right. Now, it's quite attached to muscle in there. So I think attempting it to remove it today, if I don't really need to, would be a mistake.
To make absolutely certain, Cesar wants to take a series of X-rays, which could rule out secondary growths elsewhere in the body.
Right, so let's have a look at this. Yeah, beautiful. No chest metastases, that's good.
To everyone's relief, the X-rays are all clear.
Plainly something going on there. Let's take a surgical biopsy and then we know exactly what we are dealing with.
Taking a small sample of the lump and sending it off to a laboratory for analysis along with blood tests should provide an answer.
I don't know if this could be trauma, simply that. The truth is that it's still there, and when I took the biopsy, it looked like a proper lump, so we are going to send it to the laboratory and see what it is. So I've got all the information I'm going to need from this animal. It's absolutely healthy. Look, it's stunning. It's beautiful, and it's got a perfect coat, and so I'm hoping this is something not very serious.
The health checks are over for the day. Lopez can be returned to his house, and Cesar, the primate care team, and the monkeys can have a well-earned rest.
Thank you.
Sunshine at the park is welcomed by the 260 primate residents and their carers alike. But it's a different story when the temperature drops and there's a chill in the air. Then, enticing the animals, including the 4 groups of chimpanzees outside, needs a bit more thought and planning.
All our primates here come from one tropical country or another. Obviously, chimps obviously come from Africa, and it's a tad warmer in Africa than here. Now, you know, it's not really such a massive problem as long as you cater for it, and all our houses are maintained around 20 degrees centigrade. You know, it just means you're going to have a big heating bill, and we never lock anybody outside, so they've always got access inside so they feel cold, and they're all bright enough to realise that, hey, it's a bit cold out here, let's go inside. And, you know, it really is that simple. The bigger problem is keeping everybody entertained, and, you know, and then that's us to invest in that.
The team go to great lengths to make that happen. At Bart's, on this chilly morning, the staff are putting out a breakfast of fruit and something else to warm the group up. Cups of hot porridge. They're being distributed all around the enclosure to encourage the chimps to actively search for them.
You need to break things up a bit. Every different sort of thing that you put in for, you know, for amusement or entertainment, don't do it every day. If you have your favourite thing every day, it'll soon become boring. So you just mix it up, and you know, some days they'll get a cardboard box to play with. Other days, you know, you'll get something else, you know, whatever's going.
The group are let out and immediately make a beeline for the hot porridge pots. The chimps gather as many as they can carry. Gamba needs to be a bit more careful with his. Much of it's hitting the deck. There's plenty to go round. Even the low rankers, like Lola, have grabbed their share. She's making sure she gets every last drop. In this group, only Bart and his sister Eddie were born at the park. Most of the others were stolen from the wild and sold into the black market trade. 5 of the park's original 9 chimps are in this group. Cindy, Zoe, Beth, Buster, and Mickey. They were all originally smuggled into Spain as infants and then used and abused as beach photographers' props. But thanks to the tireless work of campaigners Simon and Peggy Templar, who dedicated their lives to rescuing mistreated chimps, they were eventually confiscated by the Spanish authorities. Alison's late husband Jim Cronin set up Monkey World to give these 9 and all future rescued chimps a permanent home. Jeremy has been at the park since its inception and remembers the first chimps arriving.
Really, there was no introductions necessary or anything because Simon and Peggy had done an excellent job with them. And really, when you've rescued an animal, that is the time to establish it, do introductions and all the rest, because they are so sort of broken, if you like. And, you know, they're much more subordinate, they're much more easygoing, they're much more tolerant. There was no aggravation amongst them.
34 years on, and the 5 are still incredibly close. But they're slowing down as old age creeps up on them.
Come on, guys!
There's nothing wrong with their appetites, however, as they welcome a continuation of the winter-warming food menu. A snack of hot potatoes, arriving in the enclosure courtesy of the care team, is much appreciated by all. Next time on Monkey Life. Tragedy at the park, with the loss of a hugely admired, much-loved key member of the team.
The tibias are a bit wonky.
As Alison and Jeremy pay tribute to their colleague, highly respected, world-renowned wildlife vet, John Lewis.
It's a serious blow, not only for us, but globally for wildlife conservation. This is a very sad, sad loss.